Hello Soul Tribe, hello Soul Family. Welcome to today's video or recording. um, so today we're going to look into 7 reasons why I believe that narcissists are lower astral entities, basically demons from the lower astral plane. So let's start with the first one. I'm not going to go much into explaining how it is that I was inspired to do the video, but I'm literally just going to go into the first reason. All right, so number one, they tick all the boxes pertaining to characteristics of demonic entities, the devil, Satan, angels, fallen angels, and the Nephilim, etc. etc. Basically, all entities from the lower astral plane. If you look at the characteristics, the traits of those entities, narcissists tick all the boxes that describe those particular entities. You understand? So that speaks volume. That really speaks volume. I mean, with this first point alone, we could literally just reach our conclusion, and that would be the end of the story. You understand? But I've got 7 points here to share. But I really do feel like this first point here is just enough for me personally to conclude that this is definitely what I'm dealing with, lower astral plane type of entities. And so what is the lower astral plane? The lower astral plane is an illusory plane. It's a hellish type of a paradigm where you basically get caught in it when your perception of reality has been distorted and you have somehow been disconnected from the divine and from truth and from reality. Basically, normal human beings can interact with the lower astral plane as part and parcel of our daily existence, and having to interact with narcissists and other demonic entities on a regular basis. Let's face it, this paradigm that we are living in, that's basically what's going on. So the lower astral plane is a low vibrational frequency realm, and it is a very subtle realm, right? It's not like a physical realm. It's sort of like a spiritual realm, but it's not a higher dimensional spiritual realm. It's not a higher octave. It's not a higher vibrational frequency spiritual realm. It's a lower vibrational frequency spiritual realm. It's where all the demonic entities, all the discarnate souls, it's where all the souls that are disconnected from source reside. So, of course, if you are a soul that is disconnected from source, or you are a being that is without a soul, but somehow you exist, you know, and usually when we say you are without a soul, sometimes it's not that the soul is not there, but it's that the soul has been so perverted and so destroyed that whatever it is that's there, we might as well say there's no soul. You understand? So all these entities that are disconnected from God, from source, from life, from goodness, from everything that is, love, they reside there on a permanent basis. But when it comes to normal human beings, they sort of like visit this realm from time to time. They get themselves caught up in that type of a realm, so the astral plane is sort of like a wrong turn type of a realm. So you won't see it with your naked eyes when you are interacting with it, but you will feel it in your energy. And you will experience it in terms of your everyday life, in terms of your practical life, when you are interacting with it, when you are engaging with it. And you typically engage with the lower astral plane when you are interacting with narcissistic beings, and all the dark personalities basically. And this is why there are many stories that have to do with very strange occurrences, very strange things, very strange experiences that people have, things that would typically be ascribed to demonic experiences. And many a times people experience those things when they are interacting with narcissists. But when you don't know, what you are dealing with when you're dealing with a narcissist, many a times let's say for example you're in a romantic relationship with a narcissist. Many a times you will conclude that whatever spiritual attack that you might be dealing with is coming from other sources other than the person that you're actually in a relationship with. You wouldn't be suspecting that that's the case in most instances, because when you are interacting with the astral plane, things are not as obvious. There's a little bit of some kind of a strangeness about the whole situation, where nothing is really as it seems. A lot of things are very shifty. It's almost as if you are in this type of a freak circus show of sorts, a very perverted type of a circus situation, where there's a whole lot of smokes and mirrors going on. A lot of things are constantly shifting, and so nothing is really clear. So you are not able to see the narcissist as clearly as you ought to see them. You understand? So this is why it's often very difficult to actually notice that the source of whatever demonic exchange that you are having is the narcissist. Many a times when you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you'll also feel like you are out of sorts. You'll feel like you're out of your body. You will feel like life is dull, especially when you are going through the discard phase. You'll feel like life is very dull. You'll feel like things are just gray and black and white. The joy, the connection to life has been zapped out of you. And this is because you are no longer engaging with reality. You are now engaging with the lower astral plane. And so the lower astral plane is so subtle, because it's a very spiritual thing. And spiritual in terms of, once again, that lower vibrational spiritual side of things. I'm not sure how to really describe it, but it's almost like a mental plane in a way. You understand? It's like an imaginary type of a plane. When people talk about a shared fantasy, I think the person who speaks about shared fantasy is Sam Wagner. This is what he's talking about. I believe so, that he's really referring to how, when the narcissist recruits you into the lower astral plane, you understand, that's the shared fantasy. So I think he's using sort of like psychological, perhaps scientific terms. But from a spiritual perspective, this is an induction, a recruitment into a lower astral plane. They have induced you into a false reality. It's a land of fantasy. It's a realm of fantasy where only you and the narcissist exist. But the narcissist is only going to be there temporarily. They are only there to just make sure that they secure you in place in that particular fantasy state. Once you are securely in place there, the narcissist is going to abandon you there, and then you're going to be left alone. And then everything that initially looked wonderful and glamorous and amazing and flowery, it's going to end up looking very grayish. It's going to end up looking very dull, very scary, very confusing. The reality of the situation is going to hit you, but even then still, you would still be in the astral realm. So you would not really be interacting with true reality. You would be interacting with the reality of the astral realm that you would be in. You understand? And so that's pretty much what happens when you are dealing with a narcissist. There, you are in a hellish realm. That's where the narcissist draws you in, pulls you in to a little astral or a hellish cave. That's what the astral realm is like, really. It's a hellish type of a prison. But it's a mental prison that they put you in. And that mental prison, that imaginary world, that fantasy land where only you and the narcissist, where ultimately it's just going to be only you, reside. That's the lower astral plane. So you are engaged, you are living in the lower astral plane, and yet you are existing here in the physical realm. Do you understand? This is why when spiritual people talk, they will say things like, I am in this world, but I am not of this world. You understand? This is Jesus Christ. This is, what he said. He said, I'm in this world, but I am not of this world. And I think he even said to his disciples or other people that you are in this world, but you are not of this world. And that's what it means. But he was not saying that you are of the lower astral plane. There are other spiritual realms that exist, higher realms that exist. You understand? And so those heavenly realms, that's where many of us are hailing from as normal human beings. You understand? That's where we live. That's where we live. That's our true home. That's our true state of existence. You understand? And those are the real realms, because those are the realms where we are connected to. So we can be there and still be here, in the same way that we can be in the astral plane and still be here. You understand? So even though we all know that if you've had an experience with a narcissist and you've experienced that phase where you are feeling disconnected from reality, you will definitely feel like you are here, but you are not here. You will feel like a part of you exists somewhere else in some kind of a prison, and you don't know where that prison is, and you don't know how you can get yourself back. Then you'll hear people saying, I feel like I've lost myself. You understand? Yes, you've lost yourself because an aspect of you exists in some spiritual prison somewhere, and you need to bring yourself back home into your body. All right, because your soul has been taken out of your body with that deception and that enticement where the narcissist lured you into that false state of existence. That's the lower astral plane. All right, I hope this made sense. Now let's talk about number 2. So they are enemies of realities. All right, so narcissists are enemies of reality. I hope that's what I said. It sounded like I said realities, but I meant they are enemies of reality. Okay, narcissists hate reality, and the reason why they hate reality is because they hail from a different realm. They come from a different realm. They don't come from the realm of reality. They don't originate from reality. They originate from illusion. So in scientific terms, for example, how this is often described is that the narcissist is egotistical or egoic, and sometimes even in spiritual terms, but even then still it will be at a sort of like us looking at it from a physical, material, psychological sort of like perspective. When we say narcissist is all ego, so there's no real person there, it's just the ego. You understand? The spirit, the soul is really not in charge of the person. The only thing that exists is the ego. The only thing that is in charge of that person is the ego. You understand? So with that being the case, with the ego being in control of the person, that means you need to understand that the ego is not really something that should be in charge of a person. Because the minute the ego is something that is in charge of a person, that means the person has completely lost touch with reality. Because the only way you can really engage and interact with reality is through the soul, through the spirit, the soul spirit. I will use these words interchangeably. You understand? So it's through the soul that you get to really engage with reality. So if you're not engaging with reality through the soul, that means number one, you are not really engaging with reality. Number two, you are engaging with whatever it is that you're engaging at a very distorted level. You understand? So you are creating illusion. You are engaging, you are, interacting with life as a false self. You are not dealing with true reality, and you are also not dealing with reality from an authentic perspective. You are not dealing with life from an authentic, you are dealing with life from a false perspective. You've got a mask, and behind that mask is nothing but some scary entity, some scary looking entities, some shadowy looking creatures. There's nothing else there because there's no soul. You've divorced yourself from your soul. You have disconnected from life. And many people think being connected to life means being connected to other people. But being connected to life, true connection to life, is being connected to life itself, the breath of life, the soul, the pulse in your heart. Before you're able to connect with other people, because any other connection with anyone outside of that, it's a superficial one, it's still an egoic one. So narcissists hail from that realm of illusion. The realm of illusion is the lower astral plane. So narcissists are beings from that particular realm. It is my belief, and it is what it is. It's my take. You are welcome to have your own perception, isn't it? But my take is that all these horrible things that have happened in this world over the past few hundred years, the wars and, all these horrible, horrible things that have just gone on in our world, All these things were basically to lower the vibrational frequency of the planet, to create an opening so that dark entities can be able to participate, you know, to show up basically in this realm more freer than anything else. That is my belief. Because if the vibrational frequency of the planet is high, it is difficult for such kind of entities to be able to, show themselves. So they need to lower, they need to turn things dark a little bit so that it can be easier for them, for the dark entities to show up. And so, in the same way that higher frequency beings, when they come into this realm, they don't just come in and start flying around as angels on wings and everything, but they are incarnated, they are born as human beings. And then, of course, they are targeted, and all sorts of horrible things often happen to them. So in the same way that higher vibrational frequency beings, they become born when they incarnate in this planet or on this planet, when they have to show up in this planet. The same way, when demonic entities get to show up in this realm from the lower astral plane, they don't just show up as demons just flying there and so forth. What happens is that they become incarnated. They are born as well as physical human beings. And that's why I say that a lot of horrible things that have been done to our world has been done so by design, just so that the vibrational frequency of the environment can be accommodating for lower vibrational frequency souls to be part and parcel of humanity. It's almost as if there was a certain point in time when millions, if not billions, of dark demonic souls just, the gates were opened for them. The gates of hell were open so that they can just come into the earth and become part and parcel of human beings. Now you have the devil, but he doesn't have a tail. He doesn't have, some horns on his head. He doesn't have a pitchfork and those very scary teeth and fangs. But instead, it's a normal human being. Half the time, it's a very good-looking human being, a woman or a man. Half the time, it's a very innocent-looking person. And yet, there's nothing there beyond what is on the surface. Beyond what is on the surface, you are dealing with demons, legions of demons. This is my true belief. And so narcissists, they hate reality. They are constantly fighting reality. And this is so important for us to understand that when you are dealing with a narcissist, you are dealing with someone who is, firstly, their very presence is going to be fighting your reality. Their aura, their psychic energy is constantly fighting reality. That's why they gaslight. That's why everything that they do, every single thing that they do, it is aimed, it is designed at distorting reality, because they cannot exist with reality, because reality holds the vibration of God, of source, of true creator God, of life, of love. So they have to distort it because they cannot contain anything that is authentic. All right. And this is, you understand, everything that I'm describing here, it's applicable only to lower astral beings. It's not applicable to a normal human being or any other higher vibrational frequency being. It's only applicable to creatures from hell. You understand? So this is the situation here that we are dealing with. Okay. So many of you, have dealt with narcissists, and you know very well. I remember a situation. There are many situations, many examples that we can use whereby you are dealing with someone, especially even in politics. I've observed that as well. But any interaction with a narcissist, we all know. A narcissist, when there's some kind of a conflict or some kind of a situation going on, they almost always misdiagnose the situation. If there's a problem, they will misdiagnose it. And then you'll be thinking, okay, maybe this person doesn't understand. Let me try and explain to them what's going on and so on. And then only to find out, no, they can't get it. They can't get the true reality of the situation, the true nature of the situation. They can't get it. Why can't they get it? Because they are misaligned to reality. And there's no way that they can be aligned to reality, because that will be distraction for them. Because the ego can never ever relate with reality and not be destroyed. It's like putting, I don't know what, near the sun. Putting wood in the fire. It's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. If you put wood too close to the fire, it's going to burn. So if you put the ego anywhere near reality, anywhere near truth, the ego is going to be destroyed. So if you put the narcissist near anything that has to do with authenticity, it's going to be a problem. It's like exposing a vampire to the sun. And really, literally, right? So narcissists, they need distortion. They need to fight reality. And many a times when they are fighting you, they are not fighting you, they are fighting reality. Many a times when they are fighting you, they are fighting your reality. They are fighting your authenticity. Because your authenticity is like a sun to their vampirism. Your authenticity is like the fire to their wooden ego. Let's say an example in a relationship when you start telling the narcissist, I want nothing to do with you. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to be with you. You are toxic. Like, I don't want you. You know how the narcissist is going to interpret that? The narcissist is going to interpret this as, oh, you are so in love with me that, you are even emotional about it. That's how the narcissist sees it. You are so in love with me that it hurts when I don't do what you want me to do. So you get so upset that you don't even want to be with me. And to a certain extent, it can sound like what they are saying is aligned to reality. But if you look close enough, it's not aligned to reality, because the emphasis there is the fact that you are so in love with them. The emphasis is not on the reality of the situation, the fact that they are toxic and clearly they are failing to show up in the proper way in a relationship. There are many times and many ways in which narcissists, whenever it is that they are confronted with the reality of a particular situation, for some funny reason, and it's unconscious and it's very immediate, it's automatic, it's sort of like a default reaction, they automatically rush to a completely different conclusion than one which you would have jumped into. And you'd be wondering why. And many a times, many of us waste a lot of energy trying to explain reality to a narcissist. Meanwhile, they have no capacity whatsoever to catch it. It's not even a matter of they don't want to. They are not capable of it. The ego will never ever understand reality. And we are calling it the ego, but it's the devil will never ever understand reality. Lies will never ever understand truth. Falsehood will never ever understand authenticity. So they will always misinterpret what life is saying, what reality is saying, what people are saying when they are confronting them with truth. And then that's how it ends up coming across as gaslighting as well. Because they'll be turning and twisting and churning and doing all sorts of things and just, messing up the whole situation to fit whatever narrative that works for them. Because the truth is too uncomfortable for them. The truth of the fact that they are failing in some shape or form is too uncomfortable for them. It is so uncomfortable they cannot even fathom it. Do you understand? They are not able to even comprehend it. They are not even able to begin to think about it. That's why they are only able to reach and jump into a conclusion that there's something that you are doing that is wrong in the situation. And then they start attacking you because you are making things uncomfortable for them. You understand? But the true reality is that they are fighting against reality themselves because they are illusion. They hail from illusion. I hope this makes sense, because I feel like I went a little bit mystical about it. I don't know, but I hope it makes sense. So now let's look at number 3 because we've got 7 points and we are already at 25 minutes here. So the third one here is they are the complete opposite of a good human being or a good spiritual being. All right. So once again, this is how you see, this is how you know that you are dealing with a lower astral plane entity. You're not dealing with a normal human being. Normal human beings these days are rare. Normal human beings are scarce these days. Something has happened to humanity. And I'm definitely going to do a video, in the very near future to talk about this. Something has definitely happened to humanity whereby, as I said, some doors have been opened somewhere, somehow, some portals have been opened. And not only have portals been opened to let in some demonic entities into the world, but also there has been some kind of, social engineering, manufacturing of human beings that are just, that's why, they might be called NPCs. Too many of them. I'm not sure if this is how things have always been or what exactly is it that has happened here. But I really do believe that the major contributing factor of all this mess that we are dealing with here now in the world has to do with the low vibrational frequency of the planet. This 440 hertz that we are now dealing with instead of 432. And I don't believe that it's only with music. I believe there are other things that are going on where the vibrational frequency of the earth has been tampered with so that it's not vibrating at the right kind of frequency. And I'm sure somehow corrections are, it's probably self-correcting, and there are other ways in which things are being corrected that we might not know about. But I really do believe that something has happened though, that tampering has taken place. But then, the point here with this number 3 is that a narcissist is the opposite of a normal human being, basically. And by normal human being, I'm talking about someone with empathy. A narcissist is the complete opposite of that. A complete opposite of that, literally. So if a normal human being benefits from mutual benefit is destructive to a narcissist. You need to, this is not me, talking about cliches or anything like this. I'm talking about reality. Mutual benefit is destructive to a narcissist. Mutual benefit is like how chaos is to you as a normal being. Do you understand? So where there is peace, to a narcissist, it feels like there's chaos. It feels like there is war. A narcissist cannot be comfortable where there is war. You understand? And many people like to say, especially in the field of psychology and all of those things, and it is what it is, everyone has their own opinion. These are my own opinions. And mind you, these are just opinions. These are not facts. These are opinions. They might be facts to me, but they are facts based on opinions. So basically, they are opinions. Okay, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But my take is that many people will say, no, narcissists are the way that they are because of trauma and all of that. And I'll always say, no, I disagree. I disagree because many people have gone through exactly what narcissists have gone through, but no one is doing what narcissist is doing. And other people will come back and say, no, but you don't know exactly what is. No, actually, many people have gone through worse than what narcissists have gone through. And here's the thing, there are many narcissists as well who have not gone through any of the trauma that other people have gone through. But they are still narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths. This has nothing to do with, they've been raised. And I'm not saying that narcissists can't be made. I'm sure they can be made. Is it nurture or nature or what? I'm sure it is possible for narcissists to, come out of some kind of certain traumas that people experience and all of that. But I really believe more often than not, what you are dealing with is something that is just there inherently. It's a soul that has incarnated into this plane of existence just like that. Of course, we can't judge children and decide that children are narcissists, they are evil and horrible and all of those things, even though many of us can easily see, the child that is very much, going to probably become a narcissist, particularly sociopathic ones, because they start from very, early on. But my point here is that the narcissist is not, in most instances, especially, if you are narcissistic because of trauma or because of certain things that have happened to you, many a times there'll be some kind of an opening that will enable you to change somewhere, somehow. You understand? So perhaps this narcissist that end up, healing and changing and becoming different type of people and even warning other people about other narcissists. Perhaps, I'm not saying all of them, maybe some of them, they are those that, were not necessarily narcissists to begin with per se, but they were just people who were traumatized and conditioned by the environment that we are living in to become that way, the way that they are. But most narcissists are that way from birth. And my take, my opinion on it is that the soul came in like that. This is a perverted soul that has come in, and it has come in for a specific mission. And so they are the opposite of a good human being. Where a normal human being loves love, a narcissist hates love. Many a times people have been in relationships, we've all been in relationships with narcissists, and let's face it, we've all given narcissists the best that life could ever offer where a relationship is concerned. And for some funny reason, a narcissist still went out and destroyed every good thing that they've ever received in life. And then you'd ask yourself, why would a narcissist, you'd be looking at, all the blessings that a narcissist has in their life, especially with regards to certain people that they would be blessed with, and how they would be treating those people. And you'd be thinking, why on earth would anyone do that? Because a normal human being, when someone is good to you, you want to be good to them too. You want to reciprocate and you want to appreciate that. You want to be grateful. But a narcissist will do the opposite. Why do they do that? It's because goodness is problematic to a narcissist. It's destructive to a narcissist. It makes the narcissist feel, and it's not like, when you are someone that's not used to goodness and it's like, oh my word, I'm not used to goodness. So I'm so, nervous and I don't know how to handle it. No, that's not what it is. They hate goodness. Goodness is like fire to them. Do you understand? Goodness is like something that is destructive to them. It's like hell to them. Goodness is something that makes them so uncomfortable, and not the uncomfortable that a normal human being would be feeling. No, it's that uncomfortable whereby they have to destroy it. Absolutely. And it's not just goodness that is coming to them. It's goodness that is going to other people as well. Anything that is good. I mean, for example, we all know situations, if you've dealt with a narcissist, situations where, you would be happy, and then a narcissist would just start drama out of nowhere just because you are happy. You wouldn't even be doing anything to a narcissist or anything to have to do with a narcissist. You'd just be living your life and just be enjoying yourself. And then a narcissist will get upset and they will find a way to create some kind of drama in your life. Every time there's some kind of a peace in a relationship, how many of you have been in a relationship with a narcissist, and it's like every time there's some kind of peace, you just know that the shoe is going to drop. You're just trying to figure out which one is going to drop next, but there's a shoe that's just about to drop any moment now. Why? Because the narcissist cannot stand peace. Why is it that a narcissist cannot stand peace? Because they are a lower astral plane entity. This is a demonic being disguised as a human being. This is my opinion. This is my take. It's not going to be a popular one. It is what it is. There are way too many narcissists in this world after all. So, of course, they're going to be using all this love and light language to tell me how wrong I am. It is what it is. It is what it is. This is my take. This is my observation. This is my opinion. We're dealing with demons here. We've been taken over. We've been colonized. The planet has been colonized by demonic entities. I was just listening just now before I started recording this video. I watched this video. I forgot the gentleman's name, and I do apologize to him for that. I could have mentioned him now, but it is what it is. So now this gentleman the video has to do with him having had a conversation with AI, and he asked AI if if an angel were to take human form, how would the angel be? And then if a devil or a demon were to take a human form, how would that be? And it is so interesting that AI, when it described how the devil in human form would transform society, when that AI described that, the AI was talking about the very society that we are living in now. You understand? Like literally to the T, the AI was describing our society, saying this is how a devil in human form would transform the society. So it's like you're talking about what would happen, but you're actually describing something that is already happening here. And I found it very fascinating. It's like a 5 minutes video. So if you check it, I think the title of the video says, I asked AI about what would happen if the angel took human form and if the devil took human form, something along those lines. All right, check it out. It's very fascinating, very interesting what the AI said there. So not that, I'm promoting AI or anything like that, but, I'm not the type of person to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'll be saying a lot of this statement for this particular series. So anyway, just going back to, my point number 3 here. So basically, everything that works for a normal human being does not work for a narcissist. The narcissist doesn't want all of us to win. The narcissist wants everyone to fail so that only he can win. That's why that AI was one of the things that the AI said. He said, the majority will become sort of like slaves. I'm not quoting precisely what the AI said, but I'm just, using my own words here to interpret. This is my interpretation. All right. So everyone will be a slave, but only the few would be the ones that would be on top and would be successful. This is how a narcissist thinks. Do you understand? A narcissist wants everyone to be bowing to them. A narcissist wants to be the only one that is in charge, the only one that is successful, the only one that is beautiful, the only one that is admired, the only one that is adored, the only one that is loved, the only one, and by loved, I mean whatever love is, because I don't think that the narcissist cares about love, but as long as, you are giving him something or her something, and then they are trashing it, that's fine for them. You understand? But they want to be the only one that receives all the attention and all the adulation and everything that is good and whatever, everything. Sometimes they even want all the bad things to be coming to them. You understand? But as long as they have the superficial levels of power, you understand? As long as they are in charge, as long as they are in a position of power, as long as they're in a position of control, that's what they want. Okay. And then they want everyone else to not have that. You understand? So this is how a narcissist thinks. This is how the narcissist operate. They need to be in complete control and they want everyone else to be powerless. There's not that whole thing of kumbaya, everyone, let's be all on equal, on level grounds here. No, there's no such thing for narcissist. That's why we are dealing with the kind of systems that we are dealing with in the world. You understand? It's because narcissists needed to set things up so that everyone else should be suffering whilst they are there on top and enjoying themselves. But now we are talking about those, 1% narcissists. But what about all the narcissists that we are dealing with here in everyday life? Our everyday demons that we are dealing with here. They want the same thing. They are not different. You understand? So it's not a matter of you can negotiate with an narcissist and say, no, come, let's all just be happy. Let's all just, enjoy life together and no one gets to win or lose. Let's all just win together. You can never ever, convince a narcissist of that, because remember, anything that has to do with mutual benefit is destructive to a narcissist. So what you are trying to propose is distraction for the narcissist. That's what you're trying to do. Because remember, you're only dealing with the ego. And by the ego here, we mean demonic entities. That's what we're talking about. And I'm not saying the ego is demonic entities per se on its own, because the ego is, a tool that is being used by the soul to show up in the world and do certain things and whatever. But the ego without the soul, that's what I'm talking about. Or the ego that is not under the control of the soul, that's what I'm talking about. That's a demonic entity. And this is what we're lower astral plane entities in human form, hating everything that is good, hating everything that is benevolent, hating everything that is beneficial. How is it possible that we live in a world where the food that you eat is poisonous, the air that you breathe is poisonous, every single thing is bad for you, the medicine is bad for you, everything is like, how is it possible that we are living in that type of a world? It can only be possible if we are dealing with way too many narcissists than we need to be dealing with. Because at some point, someone has to be, taking on the orders from the upper ups and making sure that those things take place. So there are way too many people that are way too comfortable with the upside down nature of this reality. The question is, what type of people are these that are comfortable with it? I would say majority we are dealing with narcissists themselves. I really do believe that we have way too many narcissists in this world than we need to be having. I really do believe that normal human beings are so rare, it's scary. You know how they often say that, truth is stranger than fiction, or truth is often stranger than fiction. I really do believe that the day that we get the true statistics, I don't know from who, because how many people are willing to really, really look at these things properly? We are all going to be scared. We are all going to be, maybe let me not say scared, but yeah, maybe our jaws will drop. Let's look at number 4. So they are spiritual beings, and encounters with them are very spiritual, right? So of course, if you've dealt with a narcissist, especially at a very close proximity, like a relationship or something like that, very well. It doesn't matter whether the narcissist says, no, I don't believe in spiritual things, I'm an atheist, or, I don't do those things or whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as a narcissist is nearby, you are going to have lower astral plane type of experiences. You might find yourself getting abducted by aliens. I'm laughing, but it's not funny because many of you have stories about such kind of things. You might find yourself getting abducted by aliens. And, actually, I shouldn't be laughing because this is not funny after all. But, in Setswana, we say, which means direct translation, sort of like comedy of errors or something like that. But I think proper translation will probably be, sometimes when things are just horrible, you find yourself just laughing, how the proverb person, or is it the psalmist who said, oh, death, where is your sting, kind of a situation. Like, you might just find yourself laughing. But in actual fact, this is not a joke. This is truth, right? We are dealing with a situation where, we've got, what was I trying to say here? Oh, yeah. People are having some spiritual encounters, some kind of an many encounters that are not explainable. And just like how I laughed now, many people get laughed at when they start sharing with people about what it is that they would have experienced. Because once again, we live in a world that is so upside down that truth is stranger than fiction. When someone starts telling you the truth of their experiences, it's like you can't even believe it, because many things have just been, I don't know, distorted like that. So you are either going to, as I said, be abducted by aliens, or you're going to be seeing some strange creatures, some ghosts, or there's going to be some witchcraft type of situation that is going on, some kind of cases that you will be dealing with. There'll be some horrible things. It's like some kind of calamity is going to befall you as long as you are in a relationship with a narcissist. You understand? And whatever calamity you'll be dealing, it will be feeling very spiritual. In most instances, when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, whatever challenges you are dealing with, it will feel like you are driving against oncoming traffic, or you are going against oncoming traffic, oncoming spiritual energy traffic. You understand? You'll feel like it's you against life. It's you against God. Many people don't know what it's like to actually be on the side of life. This is one of the things that I have discovered in my spiritual journey. Many people don't know. Many people have not even learned to be able to trust life. And I understand it can be very scary because, this world, this overlay of distortion that we've been living in is so upside down, and it has been so traumatic to many of us that many of us, we've also been conditioned to believe that the lower astral plane overlay of reality, which has been created by all these narcissists that we are interacting with on a regular basis, we have been conditioned to believe that that's true reality. And so now, because of that, our relationship with life has been distorted. Our relationship with life has been destroyed, ruined, subverted, or whatever the word is. So now, if someone starts telling you about connecting to life, it's like, why would I even want to connect to life? Because your thought about what life is your experience with the traumas that you have been conditioned to experience with regards to narcissism. And you're not even aware that that's what you're dealing with. Many a times you are interacting with the lower astral plane and you think it's reality. So true reality is loving. There's just something about when you're connecting to true reality, what comes out is like and it literally feels like it's flowing to you. I cannot explain it. It's like you have to experience it to understand what I'm talking about. But it literally feels like there's something that is it's almost as if maybe the closest example I can use is, that feeling when you are sitting outside in the sun and just enjoying the warmth of the sun and feeling that embrace. It's almost like that kind of. But then I know it can come across as if it's sort of like I'm talking about escapism or something like that, but that's not really what I'm talking about. There's something about when you're connecting to true reality that feels comforting. It feels soothing. It feels healing. There's just something about it, and it's so subtle and so intangible, and yet tangible at the same time, because once again, dichotomies and everything and paradoxes. It's amazing. It's out of this world. All right, and it's out of this world. By this world, I would be talking about the lower astral plane. It's out of the lower astral plane kind of reality. That's just how amazing it is. Okay, so but when you are dealing with a narcissist, you are still having a spiritual experience, but it's a very, very dark spiritual experience. Many of you will share, maybe perhaps in the comment section, and share about your experience with all the points that I'm talking about and touching on here. All right, but it's amazing. It's really amazing how that you think you're just dealing with a normal human being, or you think you're just dealing with a human being, and you're not aware that there's all these other things that you're finding yourself dealing with as a result of dealing with this particular person. You're not aware that you've opened the door to a whole lot of things. You understand? And so I don't know, maybe I actually need to do maybe a video or two, or even a series. I don't know. I'll see if, which direction the guides take me. And yes, I'm talking about guides. I know, soul trap community will be like, don't talk about the guides. Here's the thing. There's good and there's bad things out here in the world. But for us to assume that everything is bad just because of the lower astral plane things, the lower astral plane has its own things. It has its own God, its own guides, its own everything. And yes, many a times it comes across as if it's the thing of this whole matrix, of this whole world. I'm not going to go into that. You understand? Not now. But I know in my own personal experiences, and it's okay to be wrong. I could be wrong. This is my own personal experience. This is my own take on it. And my take is that there's definitely a good God, true God creator, because where do we come from? And where does our goodness come from? So it comes from somewhere. And there is benevolence in the world. There's true benevolence, there's true goodness, there's true love, there's true light. As long as there is a dark thing, that means there is a light one. As long as there is an evil one, that means there is a good one, because the evil is never an original thing. It's always a perversion of the real thing. So I really do believe that our part is to find the true original untainted one. That's the one that we need to find and to connect with that one. And so maybe, as I said, I might need to do a video or two or somewhere there to just touch on these points about connecting to true reality, because this thing of the lower astral plane, our level of engagement with it, it's far beyond what many of us are aware of or would like to believe, you understand. And I'm not saying I never deal with the lower astral plane. No, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying I've completely overcome the lower astral plane or anything like that. No, I'm just sharing whatever it is that I have to share based on my journey so far, right? So, but a spiritual encounter with a narcissist is definitely a spiritual one. An encounter with a narcissist is definitely a spiritual encounter on many levels. It's either because they've been sent by the devil, by the opposing forces of life to distract you or to cause some problems. And also at the same time, you can see that the higher forces of life are also using the narcissist in some shape or form as an initiatory force. And then, or to also bring certain things into your awareness, which is also part of the initiation. And then also at the same time, there's also that element of, when you are dealing with a narcissist, the fact that you are having to fight, it's sort of like the fight of your life for reality, isn't it? You are having to fight for reality because their very presence, their very aura, their very energy, it is fighting against reality. It's trying to distort your reality. It's like they've got a distorted energy kind of aura going on with them. So it's like as soon as they enter into a space, you immediately feel some kind of distortion. You understand? And the worst part is that also we've been conditioned by this upside down society to accommodate distortions and see them as normal. And many a times, even when that distortion is happening, you are picking it up, but you are gaslighting yourself because of what has been done to us as human beings. Now let's look at number 5. They are self-destructive. All right. So only creatures of the lower astral plane are self-destructive, at the level that narcissists are, because other human beings can be self-destructive in some shape or form, when we fall short and when things, but not at the level that a narcissist is. A narcissist, you can try and show them a billion times how that, and even life itself can be demonstrating to a narcissist a billion times how that they're actually destroying themselves. But a narcissist wouldn't be caring. They wouldn't care. It's almost as if they are a suicide, these words, the algorithm doesn't like this kind of words, all right? But it's almost as if they are, a self-unaliver, these people that will put some explosives on themselves and then they will be unaliving themselves along with others. Narcissists are like that. It's like they don't care about destroying themselves as long as they get to destroy others in the process as well. They are so dedicated and committed to destruction that they don't care if they themselves get to be destroyed. You understand? Which takes us to point number 6. I could take a whole hour on the self-destructive nature of narcissists, but because of time, I'm just going to skip to point number 6 to say one of the reasons why they are so self-destructive is because they have no soul. And when we say someone has no soul, many a times we're really talking about a soul that is so distorted, so perverted, so far away from truth, from God, from love, from reality, that it's like you can hardly recognize the soul. It's almost as if it's not there anymore. You understand? So That's what we are talking about here. So that's why a person can be that self-destructive, because there's no soul there. It's like this person knows, like when you're dealing with a lower astral plane type of an entity, when you're dealing with a demon, they know they are a demon. They know they are not going anywhere. They know that they don't have salvation to be fighting for. You understand? Unlike the rest of us, where we are fighting with fear and trembling for our salvation. We are saying we have a soul. Because we understand that we are eternal beings. So because we understand that we are eternal beings, we are working with fear and trembling to make sure, and it's not easy. We need grace and help from the invisible forces of life all the time. You understand? But we are understanding that we have to work hard to make sure that we don't lose our souls, because if we lose our souls, where are we going to spend eternity? Because at the end of the day, we don't die. We can lose the physical form, but the soul continues. We are eternal beings. We are energy beings in scientific terms, and energy does not die, does not end or whatever. So which means we are going to continue. So why would anyone want to continue and eternally just be suffering, eternally just be in a state of hell? And we're not talking about hell as in, how that there's hell and heaven and all of that, of which there's so much truth in that, because hell is a dimension that you occupy when you are disconnected from your true self, when you are disconnected from your soul. When you no longer have a soul, you are automatically in hell. That's why when you are dealing with a narcissist and you experience the trauma that a narcissist will subject you to, you are automatically in hell. When you are in that state where it feels like you are floating around and it's like you are here but you are not there and all of those things, that's hell. Now, can you imagine existing in that state of existence forever, for the rest of your life, all because you are disconnected from your soul? You've just basically sold your soul to the devil, you've given it away, and all of that. This is where narcissists are. Narcissists are lower astral entities, and creatures, right? So they come from there, they come from hell, and they can only go back there. There's no them going anywhere beyond that. They know their fate is sealed. They understand very well that there's nothing else, that can happen with them. They are literally probably just waiting for the final moment when, all these games that we are all playing out here are all done. When this whole show, life is a stage and everything is a show, whatever. When the curtains, are pulled back or pulled or whatever, and the whole thing has been done and dusted, then they are recycled back to source, to that disappearing situation where because there's no soul there, so the ego will be destroyed by the light, isn't it? The demons that are basically there, they'll just be destroyed by the light. And then those that still have a soul intact are going to be able to continue with their story at a higher plane of existence. This is what we are all doing. This is what we are all working towards. The divine, true, original creator, it has intelligence, as much as it can look like he doesn't because of the distorted nature of this reality. But the true creator is intelligent, much more intelligent than narcissists who think they are smart. And so the divine creator knows exactly what it's doing, knows exactly where this is going, and none of this is futile. This is all leading somewhere. This is all going somewhere. And so narcissists know that they have nowhere to go. There's nowhere for them to go. They've destroyed everything that they've ever had spiritually. And so all that they are, the only role and purpose that they are serving now is to literally make sure that they recruit others so that they can be destroyed just like them. That's all. That's the only thing that they're doing, nothing else. They have no empathy, they have no conscience, they have no soul. They know they have no soul. So when you have no empathy and you have no conscience, you can just go around and just be evil and not even feel shameful about it. You have no soul. And why is it that you are getting joy from harming other people? Why is it that you are being empowered by the suffering of other people? Because you are a demon. You are a lower astral entity creature That's your home. That's where you come from, and that's where you are going to. But for the rest of us, we come from somewhere and we are going back there. And you are trying to make sure that we go with you where you come from. That's all. That's all you're trying to do. So, number 7 here, we've got they pervert and distort everything good, everything pure, everything beautiful, and everything lovely. Because once again, they hate it. So of course, lately I've been watching a lot of this thing about this ancient world, old world, and all of that. And it's like, oh my word, it's coming to light that chances are our current reality is not that old, and just not so many years ago, probably 2 or less than 300 years ago, the earth that we're occupying has been so beautiful. I know very well, I've got memories that I haven't been able to make full sense of as yet, but those memories have to do with occupying life, world, reality that definitely feels like this earth, but it was a beautiful earth. You understand? There are certain things that I remember that I'm not going to share with you because, I just want to keep my memories to myself until I'm able to piece the pieces together properly. You understand? But those, one of those things that I remember with regards to this reality that we used to occupy is there was a strong sense of justice in that particular reality. In that particular reality where I came from, and I really do believe that it was Earth, kind of like it was this Earth kind of a situation. But in that reality, you couldn't do the BS that narcissists do these days and get away with it. Like there was no way. There was absolutely no way you could get away with what narcissists are doing in this day and age. No way. There was so much confidence in me about that level of confidence leaked through into this particular realm. As a child, like I had that level of confidence to know, or like what this person is doing. There's no, and can you imagine the trauma that I had to go through when I realized that this particular realm is not that one where people could actually do like I remember the level of confidence that I used to have with regards to standing up for what was right, what is right, correcting BS when when I come across it. And I'm like, like what, like no way. And I would always confront evil with so much confidence. Like, do you understand? Like my neck would be very, very straight. My back would be very erect as a child. But I had this thing, that knowing that I still had that fresh memory of where I had come from, where it definitely felt like I just knew that I had a strong sense of justice, moral justice, moral ethical justice, that one whereby, do unto others what you would want them to do unto you, kind of a thing. Like what is right, what is wrong. And then I was that child whereby when someone does something that is wrong, I would be the first one to speak out to say, like why on earth would you do something like that? That's wrong. But my disappointment, like I'm literally only recovering from all of that in my adulthood, where I'm starting to, find a different way to go back to that sense of justice, but then embrace it and approach it from a slightly different perspective, because of course now the environment here is slightly different. And I'm sure you have your own stories, which I'm looking forward to hearing here in the comment section, to reading about them, right? But then can you imagine? And this is the trauma that most light workers and earth angels and you wonderful, lovely people, empaths and everyone have gone through, isn't it? The shock and trauma and surprise of the injustice of this world, the upside down nature of this world. It's like, what? Did I land on a wrong planet? Did I land, like what happened? What happened? You understand? But then, there are other answers to that, which we are not going to cover now. But anyway, so we are watching now lately. I don't know if you're watching My Lunch Break and Lucius Aurelian and all these other people that are talking about, I think John Levy does that as well, and other people. There's quite a lot of people, many people, in the spiritual community, the soul trap community, and all of those things. But many people are talking about, all these old world structures. And we are seeing that these are not very, very old, even though they are old, but they're you know, they're not too old, but they've been here at least. We found them. And of course, our reality, our current type of reality is probably about maybe a few hundred years old, like at best about maybe 300 years or less than 300, 200 something years old, right? So, and then, so before then, because, everything seems to have started really around the 1700s for us, isn't it? Um, so based on the observation, because history tells us something else, but then the observation about these buildings, because the buildings have been talking for a very, very long time, isn't it? And many of us have our own stories and testimonies about our experiences with these buildings, these old buildings. Every one of us has these buildings in their own towns, isn't it? We all have these old buildings, and these are huge, gigantic, beautiful buildings, and quite often they are referred to as, Romanesque type of architecture, or whatever it is that you call it. Some of them are cathedrals and all of those things, but most of the time they are used as city halls and government type of buildings and all of those things. Here in South Africa, one of those buildings is called Union Building. You understand? But you can see Union Building is a remodel of old world architecture. But it's not just Union Building. We've got Pretoria Square here in Pretoria, because I'm based in Pretoria. And then we've got lots of them, lots of them. But then they're not just here in South Africa, right? They are all over the world, if they have not been bombed, destroyed, or something along those lines. But they are everywhere. And then we are all picking them up to realize, oh my word, we've actually had a beautiful world. And let's face it, somehow this is something that my lunch break covers extensively, right? My lunch break is a channel. Okay, so, and then he talks about all these fires. And then I think Lucius Aurelian also talks about that as well. All these fires, right? All these fires that have been taking place all this time for this past few hundred of years, like since those 1800s and somewhere there, they've just been all these fires. It's like, firstly, there was some kind of a mud flood type of a situation where you can see that, okay, fine, most of the buildings sort of like halfway sunk in, right? Um, and then there's this situation where it's like there's been so many fires that have destroyed the buildings. And even here in South Africa, these buildings are some of the most dilapidated buildings, in our country. Like, they have been abandoned. There was a time, because our towns, our cities have been overtaken by, illegal immigrants, unfortunately. And I know this might not be a popular thing to say as well, but it is what it is. Like, our towns are mostly overrun by this kind of a situation that we've got going on. And so they've been hijacked, the buildings have been hijacked, and it's just a disaster situation, in towns and cities. But I've always asked myself, who owns this building? Who owned these buildings? Where are the owners? And I remember there was a time around 2001, 2002, 2003, when we were asking these questions, and people were saying, no, the owners were white people, because, here in South Africa, we had this thing of, apartheid, and which is another story. I might probably end up doing a video about this whole situation with Trump and white farmers here, because the white farmer situation and this whole BEE thing, or what you guys call DEI, here in South Africa is different from, and also what is supposed to be, even though I don't believe it's being implemented properly, but yeah, it's another story for another time. So we had this apartheid thing where, a lot of these buildings and things, in town were owned by white people. And then, so the story is that, when apartheid ended, all the white people left and went to other countries. So they left the buildings, with no owners. And then, so other people came and hijacked those buildings. That's the story. But then now, when you look back, when you look at this, information that is now coming to the surface about the fact that this was not even a South African thing. These are not towns and buildings that were owned by our local Afrikaners here, but these are most likely, and not just Afrikaners, but English as well, and maybe some of them were owned by French people. But the point here is that these buildings most likely did not belong to those people either. Those people most likely found those buildings, just like other people all over the world found these buildings as well, because these buildings have always been here. Our 300-year-old generation found those buildings. They were always here. They were not built by who we think they were built by, and now those buildings, most of them have been destroyed because people burned them. The powers that be have been burning these buildings, and they've been destroying them, and they've been replacing them with this horrible, ugly, box, grayish style type of buildings. This depressing type of buildings. I cannot tell you how much these buildings have depressed me. I think I've had to heal from the trauma of those type of buildings. Okay. Honestly, I've had to heal from that trauma. I've had to heal from the trauma of the old buildings because there was just something about them that was triggering. Another story for another time. But when it comes to these box buildings where you had to spend majority of your day, majority of your life in them, the soul-sucking, soul-crushing, soul-destroying box gray building with their little cubicles inside and their LED lighting and the aircon and everything. Oh my word. Okay. But the devil, the narcissistic lower astral plane entities, they hate everything that is good. And they are typically the type to destroy things that are good and beautiful. Because when you dig into this, the rabbit hole of this old buildings and old architecture and everything, you find that this is most likely a civilization. And once again, this is not more than 300 years ago. Okay, it's most likely less than 300 years ago. We had free energy. We had free everything. Most likely we were living a life that is probably unimaginable to anyone of our day and age. Most likely a whole lot of things were free. You understand? It was a beautiful world, but somehow, someone had to come in and destroy it. Tell me, what would be a good reason for people to just start destroying those things? Destroying all these beautiful buildings so that many people are living in squalors, in literal squatter, areas and things like that. Like, we call them shacks or whatever, tin houses or what. Horrible, horrible. Housing is a problem at the moment in the whole world, right? Our generation cannot even afford houses anymore. When it comes to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's like, yeah, only God knows. Only God knows. Because, yeah, it started with the millennials, isn't it? And perhaps the Gen X, where this so-called American dream, and we are all chasing the American dream even though we are not Americans. It became very, very clear that that is a very far-fetched dream for many people unless you are willing to still kill and destroy, manipulate and sleaze your way out of a lot of things, or at least kiss the ring of narcissistic demons in your life. So narcissists destroy everything beautiful. They had to destroy the beautiful world that was previously here. They destroy anything good that a narcissist finds. They destroy it. Anytime a narcissist will not find anything good and embellish it, or not even embellish it. Basically, just grow it, nourish it, nurture it. Make it amazing. No, they will destroy it because beauty is fire to them. Beauty is destructive to them. It makes them feel very uncomfortable. You understand? Why on earth would anyone destroy such kind of beauty? Like, have you ever seen those old buildings, man? Like, have you ever seen them? It's like some of them, they look like something that you could eat. You know, like by just looking at them, your vibrational frequency is lifted. It's like when you look at those buildings, it's almost as if you are touching some kind of a, you know, a very higher realm, isn't it? Why on earth would anyone want to destroy that? But this is what narcissists do. Narcissists are so evil, you know, they hate things that are good. They hate children. They hate they hate anything good. They hate good people. They hate good things. They hate happiness. They hate it when people are happy. They hate it when people are enjoying themselves. They hate peace. They like chaos. When a narcissist says we are happy, we are doing things that are good, it's when they are doing something that is upside down, perverted, distorted, and just horrible. That's when they say, and then they might, you know, gaslight you and start telling you that if you say anything that they might not appreciate about, or you do anything that they might not appreciate in response to whatever it is that it's gonna be, you hate peace, you hate joy. But meanwhile, they don't even know what peace is. They don't know what joy is. They hate those things, in fact. So, yeah, that's it. 7 points. So it's clear that most of my videos going forward are going to be very lengthy. So I'm not even going to try and make them short anymore. I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's just going to be my own ramblings. I've come across this channel called Schizodumps. He's one of those people that is into the soul trap community. And he's got a very, very small channel, and he's been running it for a very, very long time. And he's got quite a lot of insightful information to share. And he's got a very small following. All right, but I've seen that it's been growing lately. When I initially started watching the video, which is like a few weeks ago, it was about just under 100 subscribers. But now it's around 140 subscribers. Okay, so it's quite a lot. It's literally almost double now. Or maybe not almost double, but it's on its way to doubling. But what inspired me about, you know, and I've come across a lot of such kind of channels, you know, in the soul trap community and all of those things. And that was very inspiring for me, you know, because it just said to me, how many times I just started thinking about how many times I've actually, you know, put myself in a very precarious position just so that I can be or present my craft or the information that I'm sharing here in such a way that is palatable for everyone so that I can reach a wider audience. You understand? And, you know, one of the reasons why I ended up taking a break is because I was spending so much time on these videos. And, you know, when you're spending so much of your time on something and you're not really getting paid for it in this world where you have to literally pay for the air that you breathe, it can be quite disheartening when you are not, you know, reaching the kind of target audience that, in terms of numbers, that you would like to reach. You understand? And so it's like I felt like, as much as, you know, I feel like, you know, I was doing quite well in terms of whatever it is that I was doing, the work, the craft, but I felt like it was just too much, and I felt like it was too draining for me. So I've come to a point where now I've decided that I'm just going to do my own thing. Okay, I'm just going to flow the way that I'm flowing now. And those that are going to stick by me, it's fine. You know, I really appreciate it. I'm grateful for that. But those that are not going to be sticking by, that's also fine as well. Everyone is free to, you know, do what works for them. But I'm choosing not to put myself in the same position that I put myself in before, because I ended up not enjoying doing this thing that I really enjoy doing. So that's why I ended up needing to take a very, very lengthy break. There are other reasons there, but having to do with, you know, something like this as well. apart from the, no, what I was trying to say is that, some of those things include spiritual attacks that I was dealing with. There's a lot that you end up having to deal with when you're doing this kind of work. And then the amount of time that has to go into it, it was just too much for me. To record a video, to just prepare myself, to set myself up, because, if I'm going to be showing myself in front of the screen, that means I have to look a certain way. And I understand that it's best for me. There's nothing wrong with me just being myself, but I prefer to put on makeup and everything because I don't really I'm not the type of person that wants to be out there. You understand? I don't want to be well known. I want to be able to live my life whereby if for example I end up reaching a huge audience and then somehow I become mini famous or whatever, or YouTube famous, or I don't want to find myself in a position whereby now I can't walk in the streets because people are recognizing me. You understand? I don't want to be recognizable. That's why I prefer to put on makeup, so that then I can always change the makeup whenever it is that I go out, or I can always do whatever. I'm wearing my wig, so I can always wear a different wig. You understand? So I'm literally trying to set things up so that there's not too much focus on me. I'm not easily recognizable and things like that, because I just want to put the message out there, but I don't really want to become famous. That's the point. I don't want to become famous. I just want to put out the message. So but then I enjoyed, interacting with you from that perspective where I'm looking at the screen and doing all of those things. I enjoyed it. But the amount of time that is involved there, it was just a lot. It takes at least 2 to 3 hours to prepare for that. And then it's going to take some other time as well to clean up afterwards. And then to record, it's going to take me a few hours as well. And then editing, it's going to take me a few days to edit. So basically, most of my week is spent on just doing one video, for example. That was just too much for me. That was just way too much for me. And then at the same time, you're dealing with psychic attacks, and there's just a lot. And then also the fact that you are also battling the algorithm that's not really interested in your type of content. If you were producing entertainment content, chances are you were going to have a lot of audience. You understand? The algorithm was going to help put you out there. But if you are just putting the kind of content that is as controversial as my type of content, then the algorithm is not supporting. Just recently, YouTube stopped monetizing my channel, all because apparently my content is they said the reason is because my content is a redo or something along those lines. They say it's almost as if I'm regurgitating other people's things, other people's work, or something along those lines. And I was trying to figure out whose work am I regurgitating here, because most of the things that I share are literally my own opinions. In my mind, I even ended up concluding that maybe it's the prayers that I've been sharing, because I started sharing prayers there. Any other time, everything was good, but it's like after I started sharing the prayers on the channel, then YouTube was no longer my friend like that. Now YouTube no longer wanted to monetize me. But it's me. I'm thinking that I could be wrong, of course. But I've put up the prayer against those that use technology for various reasons, and I've put up prayers against those that are doing child trafficking and all these horrible things against humanity, those type of things. So I don't know if someone somewhere somehow doesn't like that. I don't know. But you never know, because when you're dealing with artificial intelligence, you never know what's what. And let's face it, the biggest artificial intelligence of them all is narcissists. So with this type of a topic, it's like also the algorithm has certain channels that it prefers to be able to share this type of message, but other channels it will absolutely just shut you down. Just like with Schizodump, you can see like his content is quite good, but it's like other channels that are sharing the same topics, they get a little bit more attention than his channel. So meaning there are certain channels that the algorithm chooses to suppress, and there are other channels that the algorithm chooses to uplift. You understand? So it is what it is. For me, I just decided, okay, fine, I'm going to take inspiration from, that particular channel to say, okay, and many others like that, to say, actually, I shouldn't be bothering myself about the fact that, I'm trying to reach a wider audience and I'm trying to spread the message. Let me just share what I need to share, and let's just see how it goes. So this is how it's going to be going forward. If anything changes, let it change, but this is how things are going to be. And if I only get 2 views, 3 views, 5 views, or 0 views, I suppose that's also fine. But I would have done my part, because I've got all this information that I needing. It's like, when you have all these downloads, and it's like there's just an overflow of information that's just coming through. As you can see, I've been talking for over an hour, and I'm still talking. So I've got the gift of gab. I don't know if I'm smooth with it or what, but I just like talking. I like talking about these things, and I like talking about them a lot. You understand? So let me not limit myself in that regard. Let me not, give myself a tough time about it. Let me do it, and then let's just see how things go. And then it's actually not even going to be about how things go. It's just going to be, this is me. I'm putting whatever message that is inside my heart out there. And yeah, it is what it is. All right. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Until next time. Yeah. Goodbye.